So today's going to be a pretty busy day. We're going to go ahead and move around this range, adjust it, and this is a range basically where I have tires and I can make it whatever I want, and tires are very mobile. I don't need to assemble anything or screw anything together. Tires aren't going to rot. They can generally be lightweight depending on the size. I have some pretty standard sized tires, but they still need to be sorted. So what I'm going to go over is basically my process for changing this up, and if you actually have land where you can actually have a range, steel targets or whatever, then this might be something you might want to look at. As far as tires go, you can get them for free pretty much at any tire shop. There's a lot of tire shops where people don't want to keep their tires, or it costs them money to dispose of them. They might actually charge a disposal fee. So if you have friends that have old tires, or you want to go to a tire shop and ask for any of the useless tires, the throwaway tires basically, they've always been open to giving me whatever I wanted, and I got a huge tire collection. But anyways, today I'm going to have to basically take away all these barriers that I have here, and I'm going to go ahead and videotape that. And there's trash inside of them. I was throwing targets inside of them so they wouldn't blow away in the wind into neighbors' property and stuff like that. So all that's going to have to be moved into this corner area right here, and that's my that's basically my dumping target. So anything that's high powered that I wouldn't want to shoot at a steel target, that's where I shoot. So any trash that goes in there gets pulverized, and I have other things on top of it to prevent from ricochets going up in the air and then being a hazard in the air. So anyways, all the tires that are too chewed up are going to have to be sorted out and used downrange to kind of protect from basically rounds coming back at us when we're shooting steel targets, because that is an actual issue when this sloped ground for my back berm actually gets chewed away from the steel targets. It's slanted, and I am going to eventually be building it up at the base of those targets, but for now tires will absorb 99% of it, and you'll get some that come up, but that's something for another time. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get to taking down these tires and getting to sorting them, and then we're going to go ahead and pick up the trash, put it into this corner area here, and then we'll go over how I'm going to set everything up, and some considerations on why you might want to set it up the way I'm going to, if you will. Okay, so we went ahead and got all the tires out of the way, got 99% of the trash in that area or somewhere else. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set up that dumping area again, kind of fix it up a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a good layout for the range, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys how we go ahead and set that up. So we'll get back to you pretty quickly. Okay, so now everything is basically cleaned up, and I got this pile of tires, and I'm going to go ahead and lay them out this way. So basically to where this little tree is and this little path right here, going to have barriers set up of different sizes. Now what I'm going to be simulating is basically the size of like an SUV or a car hood, and also I'm going to be making a window, something that's very something that's open. It's kind of built up. It'll be about this size and higher, so you'll have to kneel down a little bit. So then the next one, about a man-size wall about right in this area, and I've measured most of these distances. They're coming in a little bit over 10 meters in distance from the steel targets. Now in the future I'm going to be putting barriers back more and more to kind of press that distance a little bit, and I had to measure out everything to where I can still shoot further back without having my tires getting in the way and my barrier setup getting in the way. But also this is supposed to be very versatile. I'm going to have low tires that are going to be basically set up on their sides, and it's just going to be about as high as the tire is, and it'll be a very simple setup. The hardest part is over getting the trash and everything out, but I like to have versatile barriers that will allow me to work on different skills working around barriers and still have a good range to still challenge myself at different ranges. Now of course for static shooting you can always go forward more, and that's one thing I did not have with my last setup. I was already about 5 to 7 yards away from the target, so sometimes the barriers were in front, and this will allow me to work with barriers. I like to be further away. With static shooting you can be a little bit closer, and I've built up the targets. Go ahead and adjust the camera here. I've built up the targets around there to basically, let me just do that. So as you can see with these two targets here, I have tires in front and in back. The ones in front are basically going to prevent any bounce back because the soil has been basically chewed away and it kicks back rounds every now and then. Then I have tires behind them. They do get clipped. Like when I have people over, sometimes they're not very good at keeping them on the steel, and heck, I'm not always the best either when I'm just machine gunning, so sometimes they clip the top of them and they can go sailing. The rubber tires can stop a 45 basically in its tracks from my experience without hitting the steel. So this will be good for basically a barrier to prevent stuff from chewing up my back berm more, and if I miss around it'll slow it down and cause less wear on the back berm, which is it's my goal to kind of keep that from wearing as much, and my goal is to keep this area basically as good as it possibly can be, and eventually build it up, get tires up in this area, and set up this area kind of like a Hickok 45 range and extend it out this way, a bit more too. So that'll be in the future as well. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and let the video roll while we go ahead and set all this up. much seals it. So that's it.
We're gonna move the camera so you can see it from the front side.
Alright, so this is basically it. So I got this one man-sized. So basically you're roughly where the target is. So you can go around here, minimize your profile, and go as high or low as you want. And then over here, this is going to be the lower section. I'm going to have to cut these tree branches, at least on this side. And, yep, going to have to take out some of this vegetation. And then over here, I got my window spot. So, of course, you'll be kneeling down. And then over here, you got to extend past the tree to actually hit your target. So, yeah. Pretty simple setup, not much labor, not too labor intensive, but it's a process. And once I get more targets out here, it's probably gonna complicate some of this, and it'll probably have to be moved. But generally, all of this is gonna be within about a 12-meter distance, so it's not too far away, but it's enough to provide a little bit of a challenge if you're working barriers. So that's really been my goal, because even when I had this stuff out front really close, it was basically so close that it was hard to miss. And you always want to challenge yourself. So if you have your own range and you can do this is a method that you can employ. And being that tires are free, I don't know why not. I mean, if you're really wanting to, you could fill them up with dirt and they'll stay put a lot better. That's something I'm probably never going to do, because I would like to keep it modular. But down on the downrange portion where everything is all dirty and stuff, I would fill it, like if it's below steel target, I'll probably fill it with some trash so it'll get pulverized by the steel, the fragments from the steel, or the dump area, which is filled with trash, which I'll shoot rifles, slugs, and some other high-powered stuff that you don't generally want to shoot at steel. But stepping back at this distance, this also relieves the risk that I was actually having of having rounds coming back, and I'm outside of that danger zone, if you will. So this is a pretty good setup for me, I think, and I move my table over and I can basically set up for close range here, still do moving and shooting. I can get a little closer to my targets. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this setup. It's really quick to do as long as you have help, and very much appreciate the help. And I owe my girlfriend dinner now for helping me with this, because it's such a chore to help me, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know if you have any ideas for me to set this up that has to do with tires, because I'm not going to get a bunch of plywood down here and set it up. Plywood rots in my experience from using it down here, and I'm not going to be sitting there screwing things together and messing with it too intensely. So but if you have any other ideas that I might not have considered that might be good for barrier engagements, let me know. And other than that, I'll see you guys later.